Today I'm going to discuss the very important topic of uh, truth tables uh, in the context of logics, and also explain and walk you through how to apply logical operators in SQL to summarize logical condition based on these logical operators. So let's get to it. And what you're seeing on the screen here is a truth table, or a table which is nothing but a breakdown of the all the possible values when we perform a logical expression, right? So a true value is typically either true or false, or 1 or 0. In some cases, the value might be based on binary systems such as on or off or open and close, but these are not very common. Mostly in the realm of data science, you're most likely to use true and false. So depending on the domain of the science that you're applying, the true false dichotomies, you will either call it binaries, logical expression, dichotomies. There are several terminologies, several references to them, but they all talk about the same thing, and they're nothing but a way for you to summarize how we can apply logical condition based on logical operators. The logic tells us that if two things must be true in order to precede them, both condition one and condition two must be true. If it only takes one out of two things to be true, then condition one or condition two must be true. So let's look at the x and y here. While we have x as a true value, y as a true value, and we will do a logic of and between x and y, we get a true. And when we perform a logical condition of or, we still get a true because both of the values are true. But when we add when we do the not x, meaning not true, meaning one of them is not true, then we're going to get false. And if we get for x, and if we don't get one of them as true for y, then it's going to be false as well. Same thing with the true and false, right? For the and logic, we're going to get false for both when we have true and false values. And then for or logic, we get true because it's either true or false. And then when it comes to not being x, meaning not being true, then we're still going to get false because we have two false values here. Same thing, but when it's not false, then as both values are true, then we get a true. And then we have two values that are false. So if x and y, or if we apply the logic of x and y, meaning false and false, then we get a false. And if we do false or false, we still get false. And if we get not false, meaning one of them true, right, then we get a true. And then if we get one of them not y being true, then we still get a true. So I know it's a little bit confusing, but again, this is this table summarizes how again how we can combine two logical conditions based on the operators of and, or, and not. And I'm going to now jump to SQL and perform some basic SQL statements to uh, to demonstrate these logics. So the table I chose for this demo is student table one. What I'm going to do is mostly remember that you will be using pretty much in SQL, you'll be using for conditionality or for logic application, you use logic if where condition clause or having clause, those kind of stuff. So in this case, I'm going to use the where condition, right? So I say give me everything where student table one, from student table one where, right? I'm going to first apply the first logic, which is true and true, right? And so I'm going to first do the true and say where, let's say, the name equals to Abdul, right? So we have one logic here, and that logic is operated by the by just one true value. We say give me if Abdul is free, and we get this. Now let's say if we have now let's apply x and y, meaning two values, right? And let's say we say both of them being true, and say okay, give me where the name is Abdul, and let's say program is let's say BA, right? And I'm still going to get the same result because it's true plus it's true and gives us true. Let's say if I put here a program that doesn't exist at all, let's say SSS, right? And I run this, you're going to see that I'm not going to get any value. Why? Because although I have Abdul, right? Let me run this. Although I have Abdul on the name, but there's no program called SSS. So now that we're adding uh, a true with a false, then we're gonna get a false, right? Same thing. Let's go ahead with OR, right? With OR, with the OR logic now, if we run this, you're going to see that we're going to get at least Abdul, right? Because we have true or false. So, when you have the OR logic, then you're going to get true. So since Abdul is true, because we do have a name called Abdul, but we don't have a program called SSS, I'm still gonna get as a result Abdul because I applied the OR, right? So let's say same thing can happen here. Let's say with the name, I put let's say a name, let's say like John as an example, and then these two doesn't exist in both of the logic, right? And run this, you're going to see it's going to be blank, although it's a or. But let's say for the program, if I put PhD, right, you're going to get some records. Although John doesn't exist, okay, I may have written it wrong. Although John doesn't exist, but there is a program called PhD. Okay, let me see how I spelled the PhD. Okay, it's all in uh, capital letters, PhD. Let's go ahead and run this. And you're going to see I at least get those two PhD values that I have here. So as you can see here, I have two PhD values, one here, one here. Let me just move this a little bit up. There you go. Oops, if I have to move that up, then that means I have to resize that accordingly. There you go. So as you can see, I have two PhDs, right? So, but when I perform the OR logic, then I'm getting at least the PhDs, although John doesn't exist. There is no John name here. There's no John. So as you can see, I at least get the PhD. So yeah, this is for both. And let's say if I have two names, let's say a PhD, and then let's say there's the username Krista, right? If I say give me the name, the logic, if I use the logic of name Krista or program PhD, then now uh, I'm gonna get Krista and PhD. So because Krista is PhD, I'm still getting it. So let's say I'm gonna get another name that's not PhD. Let's say I want to get Mike. You're going to see that it's giving me not only the two records of PhD, it's also giving me the name Mike. So it's because it's true plus true. So it's either Mike, and we have a true result for Mike, and then we have a PhD, which is also true. Now let's talk about the not one. So we say not n equals to Mike. Let's say if I run this as a single statement, you're going to see that I'm going to get everything but Mike, right? As you can see, we have 6 records. So with Mike, it's supposed to be 7 records. There you go. See, it's these student ID 2. But when I say give me select everything from student table where the name is not equal to Mike, right? Meaning except for Mike, give me everything else. It does it for me. Now let's add this with the logic of let's say and, right? So if I say give me everything where where Mike doesn't exist, right? Well, it'll give me everything except for Mike. And let's say if I add something else and say also program BA, right? You're going to see that uh, you're going to see that I'm getting everything that has Mike and then it has BA, right? So if I run this back, you're going to see that how many BA do I have? Oh, I did not add this. That's why I was like, what did I do? So if I run this, you're going to see that I'm only going to get those values, those records that does not include Mike and does not include program Mike from the names and BA from the program. So uh, there are two truths here, right? There are two truths here. And same thing with, let's say if I want to add a true with a false, right? Let's say if I want to add, uh, let's say if I want to say where the name equals to Mike and then where the program does not equal to, let's say, SSS, which is a program which does not exist at all. You're going to see that uh, it got rid of where the name equals to Mike and the okay, so it got rid of everything that's not SSS, but it only give me the Mike because it's an and. Now if I change this to or, you're going to see that I'm going to get everything because it is or, right? Where the or we are saying that give me everything where the SSS does not exist. So since there's no program called SSS, it's giving us everything. It's giving us Mike as well as everything else. So we got a complete list of everything. Now let's say if I put SSS here for the name, and then for the program I put AAA, right? And I say give me everything. Now I'm using OR, so remember, I'm gonna get everything. Why? Because although the SSS doesn't exist, but I'm in the meantime I'm in the meantime the logic is either give me the name SSS, which doesn't exist, or give me those programs that does not include AAA. None of these programs include AAA, so that's why we got everything. Now, if I change this to an AND, then it's going to be a different case, right? It's going to give me nothing because AND is combining two logics, right? So if it's false and true in AND, then it's false. If it's true and false, then it's false. But if it's or and if it's true and false, then it's going to be true. Just like I check ISO. So if I change this to or, you're going to see that if this doesn't apply, at least this one apply, right? Then we're gonna get true. There you go. So again, these are just I can provide additional more like um, practical examples, but as long as the logical combination uh, of true and true, and then true and false, false and false, then that should be enough for you. And I just explained it here in these examples how they imply. So at the end of the day, one of the few things and most powerful things a computer can determine if expression is true or false is this, because true and false are so important in decision making that they are their own keywords. In other words, in a program, we write true. Like for example, uh, you would see in not SQL, but something that in other programming languages, you're going to see that true is not um, considered a if it's true with small caps, then it's a string value, right? But if you have a true written like this, you can see the color change here, right? Then this itself is pretty much it's a keyword on its own, right? And you're going to see, so you're going to have, for example, in Python or R, you're going to say if something equals to true, right? That true will not be, when you put it in capital letters, that true will not will not indicate an integer value. And instead is going to indicate, I think, indicate a Boolean value, right? Python calls it Boolean, yeah. So it's going to indicate a Boolean value rather than a string value. I think this is it for this video. Again, the idea here is not to uh, demonstrate how to use the work condition, but to really know when you have multiple conditions or multiple logical conditions, right? And if you're using the operators of or and, what kind of result are you going to get? What kind of result are you going? What to expect really? And if you're using or, if one of the conditions is true, then you're safe. But if you're using and, right, and if one of the conditions does not, it's like this. It's saying like, give me all of the records where the name is Abdul and the record are PhD. We're gonna get nothing. Why? Because we don't have two records. We don't have a record with the name Abdul and a PhD on the same line. So it's going to give us nothing. But if I say give me all the records that has the name Abdul or PhD, right? In this case, it's going to be true because I'm going to get, not only am I going to get Abdul for the name, I'm also going to get the PhD values, right? Same thing in here. I'm saying give me all of the name that equals to SSS. Now this SS does not exist in the names. And I'm saying, and now since I'm using and that's a strict logic, right? And I'm saying, and the program, let's say, equal to, let's say get rid of and say the program equal to BA. And I have a bunch of programs here called BA. And let's run this. You're going to see that I'm not going to get nothing. Why? Because I'm saying give me SSS and BA on the same line. So if so, I'm asking for a false and a true. So when there's a false and true, this is true, this is false, then I'm gonna get false. Now if I change this to not, right, and let's say I put not BA and run this, you're going to say I'm still getting nothing because I have and. So it doesn't matter what I put. If I have and one of them is false, then I'm going to get false. I'm not going to get a record. Although there are a bunch of programs that are not BA. Let's say there's one, two, three, four, five programs, MA and PhDs. I'm still not gonna get those because I have an and. Now, the moment that I change this to R, right, although this is going to be false, there's no name SSS, I'm going to get the result for those five other programs that are non-BA. And I'm going to run this. You're going to see that. I'm going to get them. See, MA, PhD, MA, PhD are there. So this is it. I think the more I talk about it, it can get more complicated. Just in a nutshell, learn to learn this, and learn about the conjunction of x and y, x or y, right? When both of the values are true, learn about the conjunction of x and y when both of the when one value is true and another value is false, and then learn about x or y when one value is true or false, and then learn about x and y conjunction when both of the values are false, and then conjunction of x or y when both values are false. And the same thing, not x and not y pretty much mirrors, is the inverse of each other. And then how it applies. So just say use one line at a time and think about the logic, just like I explained in SQL, in SQL queries right now. This is it. Thank you so much. I'll promise the next video is going to be a little bit simpler. Have a good one.